Now that you've learned the basics of the elements of music, we're going to examine those elements as in how they're used in music. Imagine you're a director of a movie and you need to choose the background music for your movie. Directors deliberately choose music that's going to emphasize the mood or perhaps the feelings of the characters. They also use music to help create an atmosphere for different scenes to help you feel like you're in a particular country. So this first one, I spoiled it a little bit. This one is It's Workers in Ghana. The recording was made in the 1960s. Literally, a person went into the post office at the University of Ghana and recorded the people who were canceling stamps. So they're in the post office. I don't have a video showing it to you, but they are simply working. If you didn't know that, let's pretend that you didn't and I didn't put it on your sheet. Imagine what you think could be going on in a movie scene while this music is playing. So if we were to examine this using our elements of music, you've got a pretty high pitch going with the different whistling. There are two people who are whistling, and the tempo of everything is also pretty quick. It's got a lot of energy, a good speed going there. That shows that things are, well, energetic. The lightness comes from the articulation. So that bouncy articulation, the short duration of the notes, keeping them short, almost staccato, that creates a lighter feel to everything. So you've got the energetic speed, the lighter feel to the articulation. Texture, you've got a few people, so it's not a solo sort of thing. So you don't imagine somebody on their own as much because of two whistling melodies. You also have some people actually canceling the stamps by slamming something down on a wooden table. You have that hitting sound. You also have a high clicking sound that's metal. Those are scissors. So with your timbre, your tone color, you've got that metallic clicking sound. You've also got the bright whistling, and you've got the darker thunk sound. Now you got to figure out, what would you imagine going on in this scene? Maybe you imagine a bit of a party because the energy seems to be so high and there seem to be multiple people. So as an example, you don't need to write exactly this. I'm generating some ideas for you. Maybe the song makes me think of a happy party because the texture is thicker. Or maybe it's because the tempo is quick and energetic. Or maybe it's because the tone colors or the timbre is bright and happy. I'm not sure if I said articulation. Articulation was bouncy and energetic. You can put all those ideas into your explanation because things are a faster pace and because there's multiple people there and because we emphasize the bright sounds, it sounds like a party. At this point, you're going to want to pause the video so that you can write your own ideas down. You do not have to use the same ones that I gave, but feel free to use some of them. Just try to put it into your own words. I can't show you a video of them performing because there was no video. It was simply a sound recording that was taken. Once you're done writing, unpause the video and we'll look at the other example and we'll contrast the two. So our second example is an ocarina. An ocarina is a hollow clay instrument. It's enclosed, so it's kind of like if you imagine a gourd that's hollowed out, or a gourd is like those decorative little squash that you might see around the fall. They put them in decorations. Sometimes they're like that. Sometimes they're a different shape. They are possibly as old as 12,000 years. So this is a really old instrument, definitely a contrast to the improvised instruments we had from the 70s. When you cover the holes in this instrument, you get different pitches. So in a way, it's a lot like a recorder. It's just a very different shape, but by covering different holes, you change the size of change the way the instrument vibrates, the way we get the sound, and therefore you get different pitches. Think about the mood that's created by the music, but also the scene. You can write in here, the song makes me think of a happy scene or a sad scene. So you can focus on the mood as well. So by now you've noticed that you've got the ocarina as your main instrument, and it has a much higher pitch because it's quite small, and smaller instruments create higher pitches. The timbre, or the tone color of this instrument, is a little breathy and softer as a result, not as bright as other instruments, more mellow in its tone color. You also have some string instruments that are being plucked originally and then now bowed. So your articulation, you've got some bouncier articulation to begin with, more of a played in a manner to make you think of drums in a way, the thud sort of sound, and now they're smoother to make it more flowing. Having the high above the low creates a thicker texture, but is not very busy. That's partly because the duration, the length of the notes, at least the ones that are played underneath the ocarina, they're very slow and smooth. Your tempo is slower. Not super slow though, because the melody itself moves along. Your dynamics are softer, which emphasizes that mellow and breathier sound that we had in the tone color. Now imagine, what do you think would be happening in a movie scene when this instrument is playing? To give you some ideas, maybe you're thinking of a wilderness scene, or you're thinking of something magical like a wizard movie or The Hobbit, or something where it's rather solemn, perhaps, because your music is moving a little bit slower. Make sure you identify a specific element of music and then explain how it is it creates that atmosphere. So examples for elements, you might be saying that the tone color is more mellow. You might be saying that the tempo of the lower instruments is slower and therefore more solemn and serious. Maybe you want to be saying that the pitch of the ocarina itself is very high and therefore it's bright and makes you think of happier things. Whichever you choose, make sure you have a specific element here and you're giving a description here, and then you fully explain your ideas down here. Just to give you a sense of how you're going to be marked, the level 3, the sounds are connected to your specific reaction. So you've been able to say exactly what sound you heard and how it caused you to think of something or caused you to feel a certain emotion, and you fully explained that. If we're aiming for higher, then you need to have um, more thoughtful connections. That often means that you're getting more detail into your explanation. So I can tell that you really thought about how those sounds created the overall atmosphere or the overall mood. To reach the level wow, which by the way is still a level 4, it's just that 90% and above, you need to have very descriptive vocabulary because those descriptive juicy words capture more meaning and therefore you end up saying more. If you don't exactly connect the sounds to your reaction, or you don't fully explain that connection, or maybe you don't use as many musical terms from the top part of the sheet, that's what might keep you in the level 2 or lower. So be sure to use musical terms and fully explain what sound made you think of whatever it was that you thought of.